Hello and welcome to episode 2 of the Dream Team Professor podcast. Today we're going to be just recapping the game week 8 fixtures that took place over the weekend, including the Monday night fixture of Leicester versus Nottingham Forest. I just wanted to let you know as well that this is taking place before the European fixtures on Tuesday night. So let's get started then with the North London derby. As an Arsenal fan, I was pretty happy with the 3-1 result. I did think that it was going to be a game of goals, most of the North London derbies are, but yeah, Spurs tried to keep it quite tight. I think the red card did change things, and I'll get on to that though, with Emerson Royal being in the majority of my team. It was a bad game to get started with for me. But I just took some notes down, and Granit Xhaka got another attacking return in that game. That takes him to 2 goals and 3 assists this season already, which I think is already one of his best returns for Arsenal so far, and you can really see that it's benefiting him to play in that more attacking role. I've put down that Jesus has done it in another big game, because personally I've taken him out of the majority of my teams. I started with him in all of them, and I took him out ahead of this run because it was going to be Spurs, Man City, which got cancelled, and then Liverpool, and quite honestly I didn't think he was going to be returning in those games. So yes, surprised me that he got a return in this one. Got a goal and star man here. That takes him up to 5 goals, 3 assists and 2 star man so far. I'd be tempted to go against it and against what I'm about to say and bring him in for the following games, but he's still on a bit of a tightrope with the yellow cards. He's still 1 yellow away from suspension. I think he's on 4 now, so 4 yellow cards. So yeah, I don't know, he didn't seem like he sort of held back in that last game, but I did wonder as well whether he was going to be pressing so hard and so tenacious with the tackles and that sort of thing. But yeah, proved me wrong in this game, but by not having Jesus, I'm happy to be proved wrong when he does score as an Arsenal fan, so I'm not too fussed about that one. And I put down the Emerson Royal red card. That cost me, and I imagine it cost a lot of people as well. I had Hugo Lloris and Emerson Royal in quite a few of my teams. I think he gets a hard time from Spurs fans. I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I know quite a few Spurs fans as well, and all of them would slate Emerson Royal all the time, and I didn't quite see it. He had quite good points on Dream Team, but yeah, that was a pretty stupid challenge. I did think it was harsh, but yeah, red card, -5 points, and I got obviously the -2 for Lloris as well, which was pretty bad. But yeah, it looked like Conte's plan is to set up quite tight, but when they went behind so early, it kind of did change the game. So I'll put down that Martinelli and Ben White could be some quite cheap, effective options, especially with Ben White. The way he was lining up as that sort of right back, but as a centre back, he wasn't really pushing on in the first couple of games, but he is really getting into quite effective positions and pushing forward, and then giving that assist to Thomas Partey as well for the goal. He definitely seems to be getting involved a lot higher up, so he could be worth it. It's quite cheap. And Martinelli it does take a striker option, but he's chipping in each week, so he could be another option, especially with someone like Salah, who's still not providing. You could go to Kane, Haaland and Martinelli to save a bit of budget for elsewhere, maybe to get some City defenders in. And then Harry Kane with his usual North London derby penalty goal. That is a bonus of having Harry Kane in your dream team. He just doesn't really miss those penalties. But yeah, overall happy with that performance, but it didn't leave me set up very nice in my dream team. I had Lloris, I had Emerson, and also had Saliba who ended up getting, I think it was a -1 because he got a yellow card as well. So yeah, not a great game for a dream team for me. I think that left me on possibly -7, but happy with the result anyway as an Arsenal fan, so can't complain too much. Not much to say from the Bournemouth-Brentford game. It's not a game that many people are going to have many dream team assets in. But I think David Raya, I see a few people with him as an option as like a cheaper keeper. I think you had Raya, Sanchez, Martinez at the start of the season, so a few cheaper options. But he got a clean sheet in this game. And then, it might give you a bit of reassurance if you have got him or are looking to put one of their defenders in your team. They have got a good run of fixtures coming up, so to keep a clean sheet in this game's pretty good going to start off with. But I have got Mbeumo in a couple of my teams as a cheap option. It's another blank for him and another blank for Ivan Toney as well. So not too great if you've got some of their attacking players, but it could be an option still if you're looking to get a cheaper defender in there for Brentford. I'm not really going to mention Bournemouth because I think Solanke's getting spoken about in FPL, but from a dream team perspective, not many people are going to be putting Bournemouth assets in if they're doing well at least. Palace-Chelsea game, yeah, it was a tight one, and again, still no clean sheet for Chelsea. It caused a bit of a headache really because Cucurella, I had him in quite a lot of the teams, and we found out quite close to the game that he was going to be missing this one. I also had Fofana in a few of mine, and so I was hoping to get a clean sheet because he is quite cheap in comparison to most of the other options, but still no clean sheet, and typical for me. Fofana was the only Chelsea player in the back four or even the goalkeeper. So you had Azpilicueta, Kepa, Kepa got a +7 rating, and the full Chelsea backline, apart from Fofana, got a 7 rating. So yeah, I wasn't very impressed with that one. And then star man for Thiago Silva, great save in the first half, and managed to not get sent off, which was quite funny. And I put down that he's now tied with most star man ratings, tied with Haaland. And yeah, it's a pretty crazy one really, but he's doing something right on Who Scored to get those ratings. So yeah, it could be worth it, but he's still quite expensive. If we could have got a Cucurella or a Fofana doing well, that would have been ideal because they're cheap options in that defence. But yeah, it hasn't quite happened for me yet, and majority of the Chelsea defenders. I think I read that Cucurella had trained today. I don't think he's going to make it for the Champions League game. It's more likely that he's going to be back for the next Premier League game. So yeah, and Sterling, I've got him in a few teams, and he was quite a frustrating one as well. A 6.9 rating, so didn't quite get the 7, and he also hit the woodwork. So yeah, not a good performance for the Chelsea assets that I own at least. Aubameyang did get a goal though. I haven't seen many people with him, but he could be an option as people start to move off of Salah potentially. I did consider that Kepa could be a little bit of a gem to put in because he has played a couple of games, but then I just saw a tweet earlier that Mendy had returned to full training as well. So I imagine Kepa might either get this Champions League game and then it'll be until he makes mistakes that he gets replaced, or Potter could just bring Mendy straight back in. So I'm not quite sure how that will pan out, but yeah. And from a Palace perspective, I'm not sure how many people have got the Palace players in their dream team, but just one thing to note that Zaha got another +7 in this one. But yeah, I think we'll keep tabs on Cucurella, but that gave us a bit of a headache last minute trying to change my defences around. I think I ended up keeping him, just it didn't sound too serious. I mean, he had apparently a throat infection, but yeah, should be back next week. Fulham-Newcastle game, yeah, not very good for Mitrovic owners this one. So he got injured again. People were monitoring the games in the international break, especially on FPL as well, because Mitrovic, I think he played the first game and then came off, and I think he had ice and strapping on his ankle. People thought he'd be out after that. Then he played the second game as well, and again he came off. I think he came off injured in that one, or was seen with strapping on his ankle again after that one. And then of course he had to come off during this game, so that was pretty bad for Mitrovic owners. Almiron, he calls me a nightmare. So I've got Harvey Elliott in one of my teams, and I was trying to look at a replacement for him. But I was speaking to my brother because we were both actually working at the weekend, and Almiron was probably the only person that I could see as an asset to swap for Elliott. But he's just a little bit of a banter player. I think everyone takes the mick out of him a little bit, but yeah, I joked that I might bring him in. I wasn't fully serious, but of course he then went on to get the brace, got 2 goals and the Star Man Award, so had to eat my words with that one. And then you had Kieran Trippier again. I've put down because he's just constantly getting good ratings from Who Scored, and it is just where I think it's where he's so involved in the free kicks, corners, and obviously he's putting a lot of crosses in the box for them. So he got another good rating, and that's a 7.8 he got from Who Scored for this one. And Joe Willock as well got 2 assists. I guess you have to take it with a pinch of salt because Fulham did get the red card fairly early on, I believe. But yes, still Newcastle looked pretty good considering they still had Saint Maximin and Isaac missing from this game. So still doing quite well. And I've just put down that it could be worth... I know we mostly want to look at European players in our teams with the Champions League and Europa League, etc. But Kieran Trippier is the 3rd highest defender now in the game, and Cher is the 6th highest defender, 2.8 and 3.9 million. So it could still be worth... I mean, with Chelsea not keeping clean sheets, Liverpool not keeping clean sheets, and probably City are looking the best, but there's a lot of rotation in that Arsenal team as well when it comes to the Europa League. So I still think Trippier or maybe Cher could be a good option in that one. So yeah, I'll keep tabs on if it was any sort of defences out of the European sides. Newcastle could be the best to target at the moment. Moving on to the Liverpool game, which was mental, really. So 3-3 against Brighton, and God, they could have scored more goals than that in the first half, Brighton, but Liverpool done well to get back in it. But I put down Firmino's. It's a weird one, really. 2 goals and 13 points in that game, but 5 goals, 3 assists so far this season. He's actually got the same amount of returns as Gabriel Jesus in terms of goals and assists, and he's in the top 10 for point scorers as well. So it's a strange one because any other player, with those results, you'd want to put him in. But yeah, with Liverpool, you just know that Firmino isn't the main option. So I think you'd have to be brave to consider him with Darwin and Jota and obviously Salah and Diaz as well. I think they're all clear of him, but yeah, it just goes to show that if you're brave enough to do it, you can get rewarded sometimes. But yeah, moving on to Liverpool defence. Yeah, they're a shambles at the minute. I've not got many Liverpool defenders in my team at the minute. I did look at putting Tsimikas in as a replacement when I saw that he'd be starting, and I can't remember who it was, Cucurella, that I needed to take out. So there was a little price difference, so a lot of them I had to do in 2 moves if I was going to do it, but it was a pointless move anyway because terrible from the Liverpool defence. I think they ended up bringing James Milner on instead as well, so yeah, not great. And Salah again, he's returning and he got 2 points in this game, but yeah, it's just not what we want from him, to be honest. And I think my patience has worn out now. I think what I'll do going forward with Salah is I'll either look to move him back out for maybe Gabriel Jesus, and if I do move him out, I think I'll probably bring Diaz in just in case to cover his points, because he does look like the most explosive going forward and has the most end product at the minute. But yeah, it's not good what's going on there. I think Trent was unlucky not to return at the end, but I put a note down with him and Reece James as well at the minute, because we were so focused on having Trent, James or Robertson, any of these attacking fullbacks or wing backs that get goals and assists as well. But without the clean sheets, they just don't look worth it, to be honest. Like even James at the moment, if he's not getting the clean sheet points, if he gets the odd assist here and there, it's still not really doing it. So yeah, I'm gonna have to really consider whether or not I just take out all Liverpool assets for the time being, or maybe just keep one to cover it. And then just bring them back in when they perform, because trying to predict when they're going to perform is a nightmare, really. Like, I thought this game, Brighton, should have been a good one for them, and I think it's Rangers either tonight or tomorrow. So yeah, we're stuck with the players until after this European game against Rangers. So, but yeah, if they don't get a return in this Rangers game, it's going to be time up for a lot of them. And I'll just put a note down because we were not really sure how Brighton were going to perform in this game under De Zerbi. But yeah, it's the same: attacking, high pressure, slick passing, and Trossard hat-trick. he was everywhere in that game. It was brilliant. So I still wouldn't consider him because he takes a striker spot, but 3.6 mil. If he was a midfielder or something on the game, I think you would consider bringing him in. But that brings him up to 5 goals, 2 assists. So yeah, he's not far behind the likes of Gabriel Jesus or Firmino in this one. So yeah, I don't think I'd consider him, but yeah, I wouldn't be scared of Brighton assets because they are still looking good. So Southampton versus Everton finished 2-1 to Everton. Jordan Pickford was back in goal for them, and he got a 7 rating. Along with most of the Everton defence actually, considering they conceded, it was high ratings across the board for the Everton defence, and they do look quite solid now with the addition of Tarkowski and Cody. I thought it's quite ironic now that Cody's doing really well under Everton after leaving Wolves, and yeah, Wolves have gone completely the other way. I think the rumour was that Cody got moved on because he couldn't really play in a 4. I think the rumour was anyway under Bruno Lage. But yeah, it's quite funny to see. I think they had Ruben Neves playing at centre back in a 5 in their game. So yeah, it's quite good to see Cody doing well again. But yeah, and the only other addition I put down really in this game was Alex Iwobi, who's got back-to-back assists now and back-to-back 7 ratings as well. So at 1.9, he could actually be one of the other alternatives if you've got Harvey Elliott or you're just looking for one of those cheaper alternatives. He seems to be doing fairly well now. So yeah, he's the only other one I'm sort of looking at in that sort of price bracket if I really have to get there. But I don't really have anything to add for Southampton-wise. Really underwhelming, and apart from Ward-Prowse, I can't really think of any players that you'd really want to be putting in your team. I think I had a look at their percentages, and yeah, I think barely any of them are even on 1%. I think it was Ward-Prowse and Walker-Peters were the only 2 that had any sort of significant ownership, and even that was really low. So yeah, not much to add from that game, but yeah, looking better at the defence for Everton. But yeah, that was it. And yeah, back onto that Wolves game that I mentioned previously. It's 2-0 to West Ham against Wolves. West Ham finally keeping a clean sheet. Yeah, that was a frustrating game for me. So I ended up flicking between my teams. As I said, I was working the weekend, and it was a bit of a nightmare trying to sort my teams out because there were so many last minute changes. I ended up with Cucurella in one of my teams, and I thought to myself that I'd put a West Ham player in, and the first thought for me was, I think we mentioned it on the last episode, but really it was the people that were nailed in my opinion were Kufal, Zuma and Paqueta. But from a defensive standpoint, I thought Kufal would be the most likely to play in the Prem and Europa League. So I'd sort of reversed the transfer for Cucurella. It took till the last minute of that game finishing. I had to wait a little bit longer for it to be able to be unlocked. Where Cucurella hadn't played, you can go back and reverse the transfer. So I went to put Kufal in, and then realised that I couldn't do that because he was on the bench. So I reversed it, and I should have done Zuma. I'm kicking myself. I should have done Zuma, but I saw the Wolves' defensive line, and yeah, like I mentioned, it looked like it was a back 5, and I was listening to Talk Sport as well, and they were saying that Ruben Neves was playing centre-back, and that's quite ironic with Cody being kicked out. I think they also had, is it Otto or Johnny as the other centre-back, so it was really looking quite makeshift, and then obviously Kilman was playing still. But yeah, it was looking quite dodgy at the back, so I thought this could be a game for the West Ham to get a couple goals. So I went for Paqueta in the end, the more glamorous pick. But yeah, he got nothing, no returns from me. I think he might have been a 6.8 or high 6s, but yeah, no points from Paqueta, so that backfired. You should always stick to your original plan if you can, but Kufal didn't come on in the end, so I had that to make me feel a little bit better. But yeah, Bowen back with a goal and a 8.4 rating, and he had 4 shots as well that game, so he's definitely hungry to get back in the mix scoring goals. So I'd definitely keep an eye on him going forward. I said to myself, I was waiting for him to sort of get, if he could keep going down and maybe get under 4, I thought he would have been a bit better value, but course, he started striking at 4.1, I think he was. So, yeah, definitely I would look to get him in my team because he looked on it that game. And then I took note that Cresswell come in ahead of Emerson again, Palmieri. I did think that Emerson would have been a good option, but Cresswell does seem to be the first pick, and obviously with a clean sheet, I think he's going to be favoured. But yeah, I was listening to Dream Team Tonic again earlier, and one of the guys there have got Palmieri, and yeah, he came on as a sub, so he got the clean sheet points in that one as well. So yeah, if you have got these fullbacks, it can be worth it still to get them on the pitch. It doesn't take much to get the rating. But yeah, it does still look like Cresswell's going to get the nod in the Premier League games at least. But yeah, I covered the back five from Wolves. They're looking pretty terrible, and obviously they've now sacked their manager, so not sure who they'll get in. But I wouldn't think it's going to be any of the usual names we get. They've usually got a Portuguese guy planned in, and then I've just added that Wolves have really got nothing going forward at the minute. It doesn't look like I think it was Neto that went off injured as well. So they've got Diego Costa and they've got Podence, but Neto's now out. They're not looking good up front. They might get a new manager bounce, but yeah, they're playing Chelsea next week, so I'm going to just stick with my Chelsea players and just hope that this could be the game that I get a few clean sheet points from the Chelsea defenders when they face Wolves. Then the big scoring game, 6-3 to Man City against Man United. And you can only really talk about Haaland, which feels harsh because Foden still chipped in and got himself a hat-trick as well. But yeah, Haaland, 32 points, hat-trick, 2 assists. I think that's his 3rd hat-trick of the season as well. He's up to 153 points so far this season on Dream Team. And I've just put down there that, well, last season I went on FF Stuff website for this as well, just so you can have a look yourselves. But yeah, in around 50 games last season, you had Salah on 334, Trent on 298 and Kane on 291. Haaland's on not far off half those points already in 10 games. So if he just carries on 153 points in 10 games, he should easily be able to get 765 points if he plays the full 50. So that's got to be some sort of record set from him. Phil Foden, I put down obviously he got the hat-trick as well, and he's looking pretty nailed, to be fair, in that Man City team. So very good option if you can get him in. A double assist from De Bruyne, who I've got in pretty much all of my teams, so I was happy with that one. And Bernardo, and Sergio Gomez got assists in that game. And yeah, Gomez is going to be a good option, hopefully, going forward. I've been done again. I feel like there's a bit going against me at the minute. Kyle Walker, I mentioned in the last episode, had Kyle Walker for quite a big period, and then he got injured. But it didn't seem like a terrible injury, so I did just keep with him because I thought long term I'm going to want him back in the team, and he's one of the cheaper options and nailed options to get in. But yeah, I kept with him for a few weeks when he was injured, thinking there's no point taking him out to bring him back in. He played for England. I kept him in, and he went off after about 40 minutes injured. So now I definitely am going to have to get rid of him. But I probably lost out on a few points there. But yeah, Gomez is probably looking like a good option if Cancelo is going to move to right back. You've got Gomez. I think you've got Ake could potentially play there. I even saw a tweet on Twitter that Pep said that Foden can play at left back, but I'll believe that when I see that one. And then, yeah, I've put down another note that City now have got 4 of the top 5 point scorers, which is Haaland, Foden, De Bruyne and Cancelo. I noted though that Cancelo's at 21% owned and Foden's at 15% owned, which is quite low really, considering, but I imagine they're low because most people have got Haaland and De Bruyne, for example, so it's not very likely that you're going to be able to fit all of those. But there's a way you can get Haaland, KDB, Cancelo and Foden in. It'd be interesting to see it, but I think it's gonna make too many areas of your team weak. But yeah, if you can fit 3 of those, I think you'll be laughing, especially after the World Cup when we get the wild card. Not much really to note from United. I did say that I thought that United could grab a goal in this game. I didn't think they'd grab three, but I saw the Antony finish, and that was a really good goal. And yeah, if he carries on taking those long shots and getting quite a few shots away, I would still consider him. I think obviously the City game's a free game. No one's going to want to play them, but yeah, I'd still stick away from that Man United defence though, because they're just still not looking great at all. Right, on to my team updates. This is my top team at the minute. It's on 427 points, which is 100k overall, so still wasn't a good weekend for me. Look at the state of that defence. So Hugo Lloris -2, Saliba a -1 because he got the yellow card, Walker a -2 and off injured, so that's awful as well. Fofana did get a start, but he just didn't get any points really. As I said, he was the only one to not get a rating out of that Chelsea back five if you count the keeper. And Emerson Royale's giving me grief at the back now, so hopefully he might still get this Champions League game tonight. I think that is. So yeah, if he's not being punished too much by Conte, he might still get another go in this game to get me a few points before I bin him. But yeah, terrible showing from the back line. De Bruyne, as I said, happy with the 2 assists. God, Elliot. I thought I'd stick with him for one more for this game week, and didn't start. There's quite a weird lineup as well from Liverpool. I thought Carvalho was back in. And it's quite a defensive midfield, but obviously it didn't help. I think it was Henderson, Thiago and Fabinho, but it didn't help. They still shipped 3, and then he just came on at the end to get the no points for me, so that was great. Raheem Sterling, I'm still pretty happy with him, to be fair. Like 6.9 rating and hitting the post, or it said the woodwork. I didn't actually watch the game on that one. I can't remember which it was, but yeah, I still think he's going to be a good hold going forward. Came with the penalty. Salah, I'm going to want to look to get him out. Hopefully he can do something against Rangers. And Haaland, everyone has to have. So yeah, it's a tough one. I've got one transfer remaining in this one. I did have Cucurella in this one, and I bought Fofana in for him. So that didn't turn out too great, but it wasn't a great weekend for defences all round, to be honest. So yeah, I'll see it through, and we'll see how we go with that last transfer. It might be used on either Elliott or Salah, but yeah, I'll be looking to build towards the next lot of transfers now to get my team ready for the rest of October. But yeah, I do really want to improve on that 100k overall. Then just finishing up with a update on my mini league side. So this has got 41 points so far this game week, and then a total of 423. That's an overall of 111k roughly. So yeah, not good overall, but no surprise. I've got a similar defence to the team previously as well. So got the red card for Emerson Royale, -2 for Lloris, Saliba with the -1, and Fofana with no points from this one. So a bad showing overall in defence, but hopefully we can get some points in this midweek game. Again, yeah, Spurs hopefully can get a clean sheet against Frankfurt, I think it is. I'm not 100% sure whether I think Saliba will play. It's either him or Gabriel should start with Holding, so we'll see on that one. And then Fofana as well, there's quite a lot of options in that Chelsea backline, so we'll wait and see if he starts, but hopefully he can start scoring some points, because had a bad time with Fofana so far. And then I'll move on to Paqueta as well. So he was the one that I bought in for Cucurella. Regretting that so far, but hopefully he can get something against Anderlecht. With West Ham scoring some goals in that last game, so hopefully he can get involved in some of more of their attacking play. And Buemo, yeah, I'm in a bit of a tough place with him as well, because Brentford have got some good fixtures, but yeah, not too good in the last few. I don't think he's returned in the last 2 at least for Brentford, but the fixtures are quite good, so I might stick with him. Then you've got Gundogan, got the 3 points. I think he hit the post as well, or had a close free kick. So yeah, I think I'll stick with him for now, but he might be one that I look to move on and try to either get maybe Foden in there, or when I move Salah on, I will have a bit more budget to play with. So I'll either I'll either upgrade Gundogan possibly, or I might just do Salah for straight swap for Cancelo maybe. So I'll wait and see on Gundogan, but I'm not in any rush to get him out in a minute. De Bruyne, again, I'm just going to keep him in probably all season unless he's injured, because him and Haaland are just linking up so well. Haaland again, obviously, with the 32 points, and Kane with the penalty goal against Arsenal. So, sort of forward line's looking okay apart from Salah. I just want to try and get some more City players in there. I think, like I said, Salah to Cancelo is probably the best option at the minute. But strengthening that defence and then probably moving Salah on, I think, is going to be the big call coming up. But that wraps up episode 2 of the Dream Team Professor podcast. So thank you for listening. If you're watching on YouTube, if you could like and subscribe, I'd appreciate that. The next episode, I'm hoping to follow up end of this week. Then I can recap the European fixtures that have taken place, and then just give you a bit of a heads up on how I'm thinking of using my transfers for October and how I'll be setting up for game week 9. So thanks for listening, and I'll see you on the next one.